We're watching Marvel Live here at Comic-Con 2019. Lorraine's crying.
I'm a wreck.
Lex is having a great time. I'm Ryan. This is Preeti Chhibber. How are you doing?
Oh my goodness. Hello, welcome.
You just like walked into the craziest moment at Comic-Con.
Yeah, how do I follow that? That's not fair.
Well, you follow it because you're flippin' amazing.
Right?
That's how you do that. I'm obsessed with Preeti for multiple reasons, but also because you are a wonderful Marvel writer. Welcome to the big Marvel family.
Thank you.
Yes.
Your book just launched. It's all tied to Spider-Man Far From Home.
It is.
Tell the kids at home and adults.
Whoever's watching on the internet.
Yeah.
It's called Peter and Ned's Ultimate Travel Journal, and it's tied into the new movie. And it's basically Peter and Ned writing notes back and forth through their adventures in Europe.
Yeah.
Delightful.
It is so delightful.
Thank you.
And I love there's like lots of like little funny doodles and,
Yeah.
and cute stuff. You collaborated with an artist.
Yeah, so George McClements and Stefan Cardos both did the art. I actually just met George like an hour and a half ago. He like came by the Disney booth. He was like, I did the art. And I was like, oh my God, hi. But yeah, they're really cute. I would like write in the manuscript like, I want to do like classic Spider-Man where he has 6 arms and 2 legs here. Just do that doodle for me, please. You know, things like that. And then I came back and it was just the cutest book I've ever seen.
It really
That's my favorite.
Yeah, so I mean, Peter and Ned's friendship is like so fun to watch.
Oh my God.
What was it like writing in their voice? What kind of fun things did you discover like within their friendship, like inside jokes they might have, like stuff like that?
It was really fun to be like kind of get into who Peter is in the MCU, which is like really different than Peter in the comics and Peter in the video game and like all these different like Peter Parkers that live inside of all of us.
Yeah.
And then Ned, of course, is like so great. Jacob Batalon is just so fun to watch. One thing was funny is that Ned gets to be the funny one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like classic Spidey in the comics, I feel like he's like quipping back and forth. But like in the movies, like Ned's kind of the jokester. He's like the funny one. So like that was fun getting to write jokes for Ned that Peter would have to be like, oh man.
You mentioned that the Peter in the movies different from the Peter in the comics and the games and all that. How do you parse that in your head? Like, how do you get prepared to write this while having all these different iterations of Peter?
It was real hard.
Yeah.
It was a lot of me writing and then my editor being like, That's actually not, that's like 27-year-old Peter Parker. Like, this is not 15-year-old Peter Parker. So it was a lot of like back and forth and like solidifying the voice and figuring out, would he say this? Like, would Tom Holland's Peter Parker say this? And there were a lot of times where I had to delete really, really fun lines. So I was like, I guess he wouldn't. There's like a lot of like cutting room floor stuff that I'm super bummed about.
Oh.
Keep it for the 10 years later.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
When he is 27.
Yeah.
Spider-Man returns home because he's an adult man.
Spider-Man buys a home.
Oh my.
With
The
Ned.
somebody dream.
Yeah, right?
There's like 5 chapters of him just like, I don't know how I'm going to make the mortgage.
Get Kevin Feige on the phone.
Peter Parker goes to buy
Hey,
furniture.
I had a great idea. Slice of life.
Now, I know you're like a huge Peter Parker fan. You love Spider-Man.
No.
No, you're like, he's fine. He's on your nails, 1. 2, he's in your book. But I'm curious, was Spider-Man your first touchstone in the Marvel Universe? I know he was for me. I think for a lot of kids he is, or did other characters pull you in?
No, actually it was X-Men, because my older brother, like I think a lot of people have this, like my older brother was a huge like comic books fan, and so he would bring home the X-Men and the X-Men video game from back in the day, because I would just want to play as Nightcrawler.
Nice.
I like loved Nightcrawler and how like dramatic and like sad he was.
Oh, and he's so German.
So German.
Like, it's me, Buff.
My favorite Nightcrawler, though, is in the early 80s where he's dating Amanda Sefton.
Yeah.
And, like, she's a magician, and he, like, pops into her house, has the little Banff plush
Yes.
by, like he's, like, laying there all, like, sensually waiting for her. And she's like, oh, Kurt.
Nightcrawler gets very sexy in the comics.
He could get it.
Nice.
But he's
Get
also
it.
always just like, hello. I'm
You want
obsessed
some
with
pretzels?
Yeah, you want the pretzel, you want to hang out, what's going
Like,
on?
remember that time he was a pirate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, they're like, hey, Nightcrawler, what do you need? A sword. I need a sword, please. I would like a sword, please. And a staff?
I'll write that book.
Please do. Nightcrawler goes with Peter
Sexy
and
pirate
Ned.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler goes with Peter and
He's
Ned.
a chaperone. The chaperone.
I'm gonna do an annotated version of Peter and Ned's Ultimate Journal with notes from Nightcrawler.
I love that.
Make it so.
Now, we have Peter and Ned going here. If you could write Peter and Ned going anywhere, like they go on vacation, like where would you send them, like on an adventure?
I mean, I'd like them to go to India.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be fun to see India through the eyes of like Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be really exciting, like swinging off the like 1,000-year-old relics.
Yeah.
Like,
And everyone's like, what are you doing?
someone calls Captain America, you got to get him back right now.
Please, he is breaking everything.
Please come get your child, Sarah.
Your precious baby spider boy.
Yeah,
Please.
there is a red and blue guy hanging from the gate of Mumbai. Can we?
Why is he on India's gate? I think it would be really fun.
I saw this one side of the phone conversation. Cap's like, I don't know. I don't want to. Don't you do it.
Preeti, you and I actually hung out in London recently.
Yeah.
We were part of a big tour and junket for Spider-Man Far From Home. That was super fun. And I remember I was sitting next to you because we first met that evening and we just started hanging out and chatting. It was really great. But I was like, yeah, I saw the movie a couple weeks ago. You're going to be excited. And you're like, really? And so sitting next to you was really fun for me because you knew the story, but there were bits and pieces missing. And so every once in a while I would notice you look at me going, what? What? And it was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, I'm a very expressive person.
Yes.
So I literally was like sitting next to him and just being like, like I think at one point I like hit his arm and I was like, I know I've known you for like 2 hours, but I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, it was great.
Passion, it's passion. I want to talk about that. Like you're such a passionate fan of this character. How do you have to balance your fandom of like, I want to write this, besides like, I cannot do that. I cannot. I know I want Peter Parker to have do all these cool things, but there's some things I gotta rein myself in and not write this person. Yeah.
I feel like with the character, I don't want him to ever do anything that he wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you don't want to take the character and put him in a situation or have him say something that Spider-Man wouldn't say or do, right? Like it always has to be consistent. And I know every writer has slightly different takes on what that means with Spider-Man. Like you're not going to get the same Spider-Man from Dan Slott that you're going to get from someone else. But that said, there is a consistency to the character. And so to take him out of that would be to like lose what makes him so great. And that's when I'm a fan of what makes him so great.
Yeah.
So I just want him to do the stuff. I mean, my favorite is like, I just want you to make me laugh. Just like, if I will laugh about it while I'm writing it, I'm happy.
Yeah, more jokes for Spider-Man.
More jokes for Spider-Man.
Yeah, what's interesting, you talk about that, it feels like you want, a good, fun Spider-Man, but so many writers want to put their characters through the worst things.
No, that's
like,
not me.
I want to rip his nails out, and I want to make him suffer, and then throw him in a meat grinder, and somehow he'll survive.
I'm like, he went to school, he had a good day, he hung out with MJ.
Drank some milk.
Maybe he fell down in front of her. It was a little embarrassing. But it's like, I want like cute slice of life.
Yeah.
Low-key problems.
Low-key problems. And then like, there's like an epilogue. It's like, and then he beat Kingpin.
And then he fought that giant man.
Anyways.
Off page.
All off page.
I want the in-between moments.
Yeah.
You just see like a poof bang.
Yeah.
Bap. I'm done with that.
Done with that.
That was an adventure.
It's the classic like #bruise, like whoa, or it's like a big cloud and you just see Kingpin's fists. And
Right.
like,
All you see is MJ waiting at the restaurant and in like the window.
Oh yeah.
They'll just go by. And she's
Meanwhile.
like, I guess I'm waiting.
see him walk up in a spider guy. He's like, I gotta change.
I am interested when you're writing a book that's tied to the MCU, but it's for a film that obviously isn't out. What is the process of? I mean, no spoilers. Don't get yourself in trouble. But how much do you get to find out about the plot so that you can write your actual book?
So I read a version of the script that was not. I did not know what happened in Endgame. I didn't know really what happened in this movie. I read a version of it in like November, and I read it 3 times. I like sat in a room in an office, like with 4 pieces of paper and a pen, and I took as many notes as I could. And that's why the book isn't a straight novelization,
right?
Because we didn't have the information. Like I knew there were people I wasn't allowed to talk about, and that there were things I shouldn't reference. But overall, I was like, this is a story I get to just write Peter and Ned having a good time. Like, that's what the goal of the book was, by nature of how much I did not know.
That's crazy. I know, it's so funny because, I mean, we don't want to spoil the film, any of the films that are still in theaters for anyone, because you should have the opportunity to see it with fresh eyes. But I still, when anyone says the name of a film, I'm like, don't say the ending.
Yeah.
Have you done that to someone?
No, not yet. I give it time.
It's gonna happen. I mean, there are things that you get so excited about. I mean, literally, like at the end of that movie, not saying anything that happened, but I was just like,
Yeah.
like, what is happening on screen right now?
A lot of stuff happens
Total
in a
Strangers,
movie.
I saw when I went to go see it. Total Strangers, two guys that were on opposite sides did not know each other. Kind of like got out of their seats and like made eye contact. They were like, "What are we gonna do?"
It's true, though. It's true.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I got a text from a good friend of mine who is not a big comic book movie fan, like whatever, and he just texted me, "Did so and so die in Avengers?" And I was like, "Why do you ask?" He said, "Because someone ran down my street yelling it just now."
No.
And I was like, "Oh no." And he's like, "Oh."
That's so mean.
It's terrible.
I just, someone came up to me and they were like, this is my theory about Endgame. I think this is how it's going to go. And just tell me if I'm right. And they were pretty close, and I just told them no. Right to their face. I said, you're very off.
Liar.
That person's watching us right now, like spit take. What?
I haven't seen the movie because of you.
You know, I'm curious too, since we're here at Comic-Con, you're doing your signing for your book today?
I did it. I did it
today.
Yeah, I did it earlier.
What was that like? Because for me, getting to do a signing, especially it's a middle grade book,
Yeah.
right? It's so cool because you get to hang out with kids, and they're like stoked about superheroes.
Great. There was a little Spider-Man who came up, which was like so cute, and his mom was like, "Do you want to get the book?" And he was like, "Mm-hmm." And then she goes, "She'll sign it for you," and I was like, I will sign it." And he goes,
He's like, "Yeah, lady, you adult woman, that's
It was great.
You will sign my book.
And like he bought the book and he came back and he like pulled his hood all the way down so that it was just like this little Spider-Man face. It was like so cute.
Oh, so sweet. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the best.
Thank you so much for hanging out
Of
with us. You're not one of my new favorite people. It's so great.